Hello, folks. I make you welcome to Politics Around the World right here on Enterprise Television, reaching you from our corporate headquarters in Lagos State, Nigeria. A wonderful time to be alive, especially with the wave of events happening, not just in Nigeria, in Africa, but across the world. And it is our business right here on Politics Around the World to bring them to you as they unfold. My name is Henry Igwebike, and I welcome you to the show. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back. All right, the video you are watching right now on Politics Around the World captures a version, yes, a version of Persia, now known as Iran, that many younger generations, especially the Gen Zs, have only seen in archives. Before the revolution, Iran was ruled by the Pahlavi dynasty, which governed from 1925 to 1979. The dynasty was founded by Reza Shah Pahlavi, a military officer who sought to modernize and centralize the country. After him, his son, Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, ruled from 1941 until 1979 as the last Shah of Iran. Under the Pahlavi era, Iran pursued rapid modernization, Western-style education, expanded infrastructure projects transforming major cities, roads, universities, industries, and cultural institutions. They grew at a remarkable pace. Tehran, in particular, developed a cosmopolitan image with architecture, fashion, and urban planning that many compared to European capitals. Diplomatically, Iran maintained close relations with Western nations and was notably a strong regional ally of Israel. Economically and socially, parts of the country reflected visible progress in modernization and standards of living, especially in urban centers. But history is really one-dimensional. Beneath the modernization were growing tension, political repression, widening inequality, cultural resistance, and dissatisfaction with authoritarian rule. This pressure eventually erupted into the Iranian Revolution. In 1979, mass protests swept across the country. The monarchy was overthrown. The Shah went into exile. The Islamic Republic was established, fundamentally reshaping Iran's political structure, foreign policy, and social framework. So today we'll be taking a look at Iran and try to see the shades that had come with it many centuries, even up until now. And to do that with me, I have no other but Innocent Adulugba. He is a journalist, a political economist, and also a historian. Thank you so very much, Innocent, for being here.
My pleasure.
I truly do appreciate you.
It's different shades of Iran.
Yes.
Put it captured many times by Prophet Jeremiah, Isaiah, talking biblically.
Yeah.
Esther, Daniel, as Persia, Media, Elam. But the shades keep,
different shades.
Medo-Persia and all of that.
Yes. Yes, definitely, because lots of people who might not have a historical basis or knowledge of some of these things might think Iran is just a country like Nigeria that got independence in 1960. It's one country that's been there. Biblically, it used to be called Persia, I love to believe.
I said
yes, Persia.
Persia.
Yes. So it
was
a
combo of Media, Elam, in the days of the exile history of Israel. That's where the prophet Daniel fits in.
Okay.
Lots of them had passed through Iraq, Babylonia, into Persia. So the days of around Queen Esther.
Okay.
The prophets, especially the prophets who spoke during the exile. I think Ezra, Nehemiah, all of that were people who, in biblical times, were in Persia, which has mutated into today's Iran, as it were.
Yes, beautiful. So if there's one nation around the world that should spearhead development of all strata, Iran should be one of those countries. But unfortunately, what we have today going on with Iran is not quite palatable, but that's what we're about to talk about today. No, sir. Let's get to this story from the Shah itself. They've been there for a very long time, from 1941 or even before that. They've been there. Father giving over the stewardship to his son, who sadly became the last Shah of Iran after the Iranian Revolution of 1979. But remarkably, during their days in office, Iran enjoyed well-off economically, infrastructurally. They were very good friends of Western societies, especially in Israel. So what do you think differentiates Iran of the Shah and what it is today?
I think it's about cultural evolution and the boundaries of acceptability vis-a-vis their religious culture. You know, Iran has a sister in Asia, Saudi Arabia, just across the Persian Gulf. The top 6 largest countries in Asia, Iran is second only to Saudi Arabia. When you come from Russia, then China, then India, then Kazakhstan, then you have Saudi Arabia. After Saudi is Iran. And Saudi is hugely and openly westernized. I think there is a reluctance, there is a maybe repugnance to Western or to westernization by sections of Islamic countries. So
by
Saudi,
sections, because when you talk about sections, well, we're talking about 2 predominant sects. We have the Shah, we have the Shiites, and we have the Sunnis.
Exactly.
Right. So Iranians are predominantly Shiites,
and those are stoic Orthodox sects. You know, so if you look at revolutions in Iran, the compulsory hijab has been, let's say, moderated. Women get more into education. Iran is well invested in peaceful times. Some of their countries, like you gave us a footnote, compares to European capitals. But maybe the body language of their rulers, and then they have ceremonial presidents and religious rulers. Something that is becoming a similitude in Nigeria. We have a president, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. The United Nations have spoken in recent times that blasphemy against the name of the Prophet Muhammad, how do Muslims say, Rasulullah, this is something, with due respect, those should not translate to the death penalty. The United Nations, where Nigeria is a signatory to. But the Sultan of Sokoto has come out publicly to say no. He is neither a political authority, a legal authority, a Senate president, a governor, and that his no is what Nigeria has thrown back to the United Nations. Not what the Nigerian president and government system are postulated. So that's where Iran became rifted, and these are tiny cracks. You don't see them until the rift becomes a gulf. You know, there is a parallel government, a president, then there are the religious supremo, ayatollahs. And the Irani people seem to give political absolutism to whatever the ayatollahs say.
That was after the Iranian Revolution, because the last Shah of Iran, tried to miniaturize religiosity in Iran. It tried to pocket it, just like what we have done in Nigeria, but it's not working. Remember, every traditional or religious symbolism rests on the office of the local government in Nigeria constitutionally. The answer to the local government chairman. So that was what the Shah wanted to do in Iran. But after the 1979 Iranian Revolution, all of that changed. The absolutism you're talking about started after the 1979 Revolution.
Yes, you're talking about April 1.
Yes.
1979. And the son of that Shah you mentioned began that name Iran, Islamic Republic of Iran. In Nigeria, somewhere in our constitution, section 10 is open that Nigeria is a secular state. You know, I'm trying to draw parallels.
Okay,
so
yes.
you see what to copy and what you find repugnant. So the section says Nigeria is a secular state. That within Nigeria, almost 13 states from the north or more have enshrined the Sharia law. And the supremo of the Nigerian constitution is silent. It is this silence, like I said, it's the rift, is in inches. Is in inches. And as we will know, one finger stained with palm oil, it spreads. Yeah. You know, we are in Nigeria where in the afternoon, a little girl, Deborah, was ignited and burnt to death. We have in our constitution death penalty or penalty for manslaughter or such. But what happened, 34 lawyers came out to defend that. And even though there are videos everywhere of the people, the mob that committed that homicide, the leader who ignited the spark, they're all walking free. So we should know the parallel between a constitutionally elected government and the reach of their powers versus religious authority, because this is a conflict playing out in Iran, and I drew parallel with their neighbor across the Gulf, Saudi Arabia. You know, Iran is a blessed country. It's among the top 3 oil-producing countries in Asia. But not so with exports, where you have the UAE, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Iraq, and all. But Iran is strategically a rich country. Iran occupies the northern bank of the Persian Gulf, so named after Iran, where from the root of it there is Kuwait. Opposite it, massively, Saudi Arabia, just pigmented by Qatar over there. At the end of it from this side, you have the United Arab Emirates and Oman. All of them facing only Iran, which gives them strategic control over the Strait of Hormuz.
Yeah.
That is deciding today the price and cost of oil, where Nigeria to be prudent. This is a time for the country to cash in and wisely commit resources that were not budgeted for, but are falling our way now. Europe is going to be stranded, are almost already stranded. This is a time where Nigeria, a non-Gulf oil-producing, global recognized giant, should cash in. Venezuela is restive.
Yes.
Venezuela is restive. So all eyes are on Nigeria now. Venezuela has some bones to chew with the United States, Maduro, the president, in U.S. Captivity. The Gulf, all of them threatened by Iran that ships will be burned if they dare to pass a strait. So Nigeria is threat-free. Are we astute to cash in now and reap whatever? Because one man's pain is another man's gain. Yeah. There is no way Nigeria is directly responsible for what's playing out in the Middle East. Yeah. Instead, I hear of demented commentary that some people are threatening to carry out riots in northern Nigeria if the U.S. does not stop bombing. Can you hear of such demented comment? Where in a country as we are, let's not digress, yes, but the economy, the masses, me and you, are looking for an injection of resources, wealth that has been thrown up from this Persian Gulf crisis. That's where we should be cashing in from, Aaron. It's actually quite delusional that Nigeria that should be taking advantage of that. Before now, our budget was pegged at $70 per barrel. And with this ongoing crisis, crude has risen to about $80 to $100 per barrel. But of course, that is in Nigeria. Let's get back to Iran right now. From 1929 up until 1979 is about 70 years plus. 7 decades that the Shah had ruled Iran. And from 1979
up until now, 2026, it's about 46 years that the monarchy system of Ayatollah has ruled Iran. Which do you think benefits the Iranians? Which of the two regimes? Is it the 7 decades of liberalization but authoritarian rule, or a monarchy system of government with no economic sustainability, and Iranian people are not doing so well, but they have this self-gratification that they are working in tandem to the wills of God?
Well, you know, I've used some words. I will use it again. When you go to God, religion, the leaders will make pretensions to royal absolutism that lacks accountability or measurement, but full of sentiments, fear, and domination. So, but if you look at the top 10 oil producers in the world, a lot of them involve are still buying. But world powers, the United States, Saudi Arabia, Russia, Canada, China, are the top 5 in terms of production.
Yes.
Then you look at from number 6, Iran is there, Iraq, Iran, the UAE, Brazil, and Kuwait. You expect that Iran, with nearly 3.4 million barrels per day in production, is a country where the citizens will enjoy liberalism. You see, one of the key to global empowerment of the worth of the individual is liberal democracy. Already, democracy is a system of government that respects equality, individual liberty, popular sovereignty, the rule of law, and the respect for human rights. Without one of these, democracy is handicapped. In countries where these are practiced, I don't care, Henry, whether it's a monarchy or it's a constitutional democracy. We can see monarchy in England. I don't know, is it Hungary or some of them?
Yeah.
We can see monarchies there. And the citizens are doing great.
Well.
So I don't think we should paint one system of government with a brush. To some extent, the Muammar Gaddafi prototype of government was working in Libya.
It was working very well in
I have
Libya.
Nigerian friends who are crying that Gaddafi was toppled. Following his capitulation, they returned to Nigeria and are in the same quagmire like me and him. You know. So, but the discourse is, I can belong to an ancestral dynasty of a ruling monarch family. And I am prudent, accountable, liberal, my countrymen are doing well. It will be better than a quad-annual democracy, I'm sorry to say, the type Nigerians are groaning over now, and we just shout we are a democracy. What are the benefits? Because a good economy is the security of a democracy. Meaning that even democracy needs to be secured.
It needs to be sustained, needs to be fueled.
Yes, exactly. So, and you look at that region, you look at the countries we've named, it's just like a U this way. All of these, the northern Persian Gulf, is Iran. But from this point, you have Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, somewhere in the middle, Qatar, Oman, and then you come out of that Gulf. And don't forget, Iran is strategically positioned as neighbors to economic powers like India. If you just cross one country, Afghanistan, Pakistan the other way, you are China. So if Iran was a trading country, it's already surrounded to some extent by global powers. Yes, non-Western powers, but it can trade and be self-sustained. The same way I draw parallels with Nigeria. We can overrun West Africa with massive oil trade, with vast agricultural exports, human capital, and all of them. So these are the windows that give worth and value to the human life, irrespective of monarchy or democracy. Henry, the trado governmental system does not decide well-being of the human being. It's the policy within those countries and how they are dished out. And like we would say, the UK, the United Kingdom, has preserved their traditional culture. Look at the seamlessness in the succession from the great Queen Elizabeth,
Her Majesty.
Her Majesty, to, let's now say, King Charles. And in his old age, King Charles is already planning succession while being alive. One of his brothers has even been expelled from the...
Has been arrested, actually.
So these things are ongoing. The British Parliament are efficiently running. So I don't want us to point finger at an Ayatollah or a president. What are the policies as it concerns human development and welfare amidst these vast resources?
Now, as much as we, deliberate on some of these things, I understand, the rational nature, by which we paint the picture. What world people want is that the government that hold them should be able to take care of them irrespective of what sort of government that they have. But can we say that America has contributed towards restiveness? Because you see them come take over, invade countries that are still finding their footings or possibly making do with what they have. You talked about Libya. Gaddafi was doing awesomely well for his people. Libya at the time when Gaddafi was there enjoyed liberty, enjoyed growth, economic growth. Infrastructurally, the country was looking more like European countries. But America came and invaded and spoiled everything. So do you see United States as a spoiler of world peace?
It's neither here nor there. Sometime in 1918, there was the League of Nations after the First World War. But going into 1945, the United Nations was born. And that United Nations was to midwife global peace with 5 vetoes. The United States, Russia, at the time, the USSR, China, fronted at the time by Formosa, we know them as Taiwan now, France, and the United Kingdom. What made the United Nations attractive was their cooperation method in effecting global peace, quelling restive places, and many countries aspire to become members of the United Nations Security Council. I don't know today, first of all, in a world like ours, where the most powerful country, the United States, maybe followed by Russia, so to speak, China, we're all in a union. I would think that the United Nations Secretary General will be the most powerful man in the world, coordinating all these global powers to the extent of where the veto are cast. But it is an undisputable fact, irrespective of the office of the United Nations Secretary General, the President of the United States remains the most powerful man in the world. In international politics, that makes the world unipolar. And, as it were, where the United Nations are to sanction a country as a union, as a body, only the United States alone now sanctions country, or US sanctions. So I'm wondering, if I were a country, Nigeria, South Africa, Kenya, Egypt, we wanted a seat in the Security Council. Israel has ongoing bombardments in Gaza. And as we speak, the International Criminal Court has lots of petitions against Israel to halt what's ongoing. Security Council have met severally. It's about 2 years or thereabout closing in. Israel is yet to be curtailed. So, is the Security Council of the United States a backing but non-biting dog? So, all of these questions, scholars will argue to the left, to the right. The United States has good intentions. They are a huge contributor to global peace. But going unilaterally is where many people will fault it here and there. This is...
But could it be the fact that they...
This is the second strike in Iran.
Yes.
After one last year. And the one of last year, why I said sorry, was peace talks were ongoing. There were ongoing peace talks at the time the U.S. struck with Israel. So, would this be the method if it was the Committee of Nations? Those are where we should know. Would this be the strategy? Because, I'm digressing again. We can now see Iran demonstrating some macho retaliatory positions, bombardments among their neighbors where their missiles cannot go the whole for long range. It can within the immediate proximity and putting pressure. Now, all of those countries can retaliate against Iran, but they are thinking otherwise. Now, for them to have done nothing of such till now, I mean, they are not the aggressor nations. Iran is the aggressor in this case, bombing in Qatar, Saudi, Aramco, here and there. So, Iran is the aggressor. If were America to be that neighbor, Israel, they would have retaliated. So, the absence of retaliation to this point tells the world the story that some of these countries where America has bases would rather be putting pressure on the United States to halt bombardments in Iran. So Iran can stop bombardments in this country. It has created a direct war between US-Israel. Now it has created a proxy war with Iran and American allied countries. So you can take your question. I'm looking at the committee versus the individual.
Yes, I'm talking about the committee because you talked about the United Nations, quite important at this point, but the United Nations is becoming moribund as we speak. Remember, Donald Trump just last year had allowed or created what he called Department of Peace, different from the United Nations department that takes care of world peace. And what he says, any country that wants to be a signatory to that little meeting has to pay $1 billion to be part of it, so they can ensure, which means actually that the United Nations dexterity is still not there. But there's one particular person we wouldn't want to leave here without talking about, and that's Benjamin Netanyahu. He's been there for a very long time, since the days of George Bush, when he invaded Iraq. He had always been there to say, if it's possible to take over or to remove Saddam Hussein, the region will be okay. The United States went all out, took out Saddam Hussein. He equally said, if the United States or the world can shred out yet another person. He even got to Maduro of Venezuela, and the United States did that. He is equally the one that has said, if Khamenei is relieved of his duty and possibly taken out, the Middle East will be fine. And right there, they did it. So do you think Benjamin Netanyahu could be that fibroid that refuses to grow into an embryo, but at the same time disturbing and should be removed?
Well, Benjamin Netanyahu is a man that is permanent on the political corridor. He's like Vladimir Putin to me. Putin had been prime minister to Medvedev and then returned. Yeah. So the same way Netanyahu, I think his predecessor was Ariel Sharon.
Ariel Sharon, yeah.
So you find out that these men are permanent players on the global stage. Yes, Iran has some, what should I call it? There are some misdemeanor around Iran. There are some aggressions around Iran. But people like Netanyahu is a born-to-fit ally with Donald Trump. And that is where, like you are talking about, let me use the word, a time is coming, the world will celebrate what we call Trumpism. Trumpism. I think the predecessor to Netanyahu was Yair Lapid.
Okay.
Yes, but I think so. Trumpism is where we are now, where if the U.S. finds another open ally, they will team up with them and move, not waiting. And that's why I asked: has the veto power in the United Nations become impotent? We've not heard the voice. These things go on. Israel, the International Criminal Court, has asked Israel to stop. The United States is selling and giving military arms to Israel to continue the bombardment. Israel is carrying out a food starvation at the West Bank. There is nobody to check either Israel or the United States. I want to wonder if Nigeria were the ones carrying this out in neighboring Benin Republic, the same way Israel is doing to, and we don't have the US backing, would we last? So these are where the questions about and you see, United States with Israel is all about what the international politics call balance of power in international alliance. And you see, this balance is not about global peace. That's what we should know. It's not about peace for Israel. It's about the interests of the two partner countries. So if there is war, as it were, in the Middle East, the United States is not coming to quench the war in the Middle East by balance of power system. The United States is coming to empower and buffer Israel to deal with that neighbor, to just tell them, look beyond Israel, they have a bigger partner. And that's what it is. So, and that's the interests playing out.
All right, so we do not have time, but I wish we could continue on this particular discussion because it's quite interesting, and we'll talk about the things happening around the world. But just before we wind down, Innocent, what do you see the future looking like? Iran is more like a spoiler. They're more like that little stubborn boy that gets the beating of his life. Rather than say, I am sorry, uncle or brother or father, he rather wants to scatter everywhere, and that's what exactly they are doing. Now, to such a young lad, what do you think is the best way to deal with such a young lad, such that it's possible for him to stop being a spoiler and possibly attain peace?
You know, we are men, Harry. It's tricky. There is this ant called soldier ant. And when I was a boy, about 13 years old, I went to a vegetable garden where my mommy sent me an errand. They were just after rain, so soldier ants were marching. I took a stone, threw it among them to scatter them, and went my way. But I didn't go far off.
Okay.
What I didn't know was one of the ants strayed, climbed my leg into my shorts. We're on air now.
Yes.
But beat me in my headquarters, in the vital area.
Yes.
And I couldn't slap it.
Yeah. Because, you know, it will be more painful than even the bite
Neither
itself.
could I just pull it off.
Yes.
Its pincers were...
Yeah, the claws were just there.
And to be blunt, it would have been easy if it was on the latitudinal section, because it was on the globe.
Yes.
And the softness, so in my
I can
adult
imagine.
life,
Yes.
I'm looking at Iran, the way they tell you somebody is holding someone by the jugular. Are we headed for a full-blown war with Iran? Donald Trump says the Iran project was to last a few days,
Yes.
but is dovetailing into what we cannot say. Of course, Iran cannot defeat the U.S. at war. Everybody knows that. Iran cannot defeat U.S. military might. But may one way or the other circumvent a kind of victory. And this is looking more like an internecine war, that the USA might come out with a Pyrrhic victory. All of this grammar means a war where you won. but you came out with a lot of bruises you may never recover from.
Like that experience in Afghanistan.
No,
by the United States.
No,
or
Vietnam.
Vietnam.
Yes.
Yes.
So, but this is worse. Iran is alive and alert. Oh, they've bombed their research base. Oh, they've bombed their nuclear base. Iran is using trade routes, using neighbors to threaten the U.S.
The big power.
Now, the more the U.S., if you look, sometime around last night, there were ongoing bombings reported. We don't know the extent of devastation. But Iran cannot directly retaliate Israel or U.S., but can inflict, and you know, places like
Dubai.
Qatar, the UAE, are pleasant tourism destinations.
Exactly.
Those people don't want their, it's a tiny patch.
Yeah.
Iran may be almost 30 times the size of you know, all of the Kuwait and all. Yeah. They want to live at peace. Oman, Kuwait, the UAE, you know, the United Arab Emirates, you know. So that is where, to some extent, they might bring pressure to bear. Perhaps the US is targeting a strategic capitulation of the Iranian leadership, as it happened in Syria. That is a big route to victory for the United States. The United States is also inciting Iranians to rise up against their government. Those are victory measures. But Iran seems well versed in their own strategy. So, like I said, it could be victory for the United States, where in this internecine war, but it will be Pyrrhic victory. Because Iran, I mean, we don't need to blow too much grammar, knows what to do and where to control that. Secondly, there could be a bigger pressure on the United States. The European Union is about the world's leading voice as a body.
As a union.
They may put pressure on the United States to check for scarcity of oil that they are going to suffer, gas and the rest of them. So that could be another backdoor that we can call it a win for Iran if US and Israel are made to halt this bombardment. Then dialogue might become the diplomatic way out, Henry.
Very, very well said. Let's not forget, ladies and gentlemen, the world is a global village. What touches one part, one minute part, has an overreaching effect on another part. As we speak today, the United States is beginning to lose its reserve of ammunitions as we speak now, and the reserve is quite important to U.S. Security, which is becoming a bit problematic at this point. And the big question remains, if humans can create humanoids that are doing awesome things, going the mile on science and innovation, why won't the world use that opportunity to create peace amongst ourselves and find a way to be brothers rather than being enemies that won't take us anywhere? Well, just like Innocent said, he called it balance of power, isn't it?
Yes.
Balance of power. So it's not really about enacting world peace at this point that might be of good to everyone, but balance of power, which is still creating more problem, isn't it?
And you know, the American, as a country, is a signatory here and there. They are a signatory in NATO. They are a signatory in Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, where China, US, Russia, France, the UK, Germany, and the entire European Union and Iran signed in 2015. It's an exchange for full Iranian transparency program, nuclear transparency. But you see, the United States, how do I put it? They have promises that are non-binding.
Okay.
Non-binding. And like I compared them to the United Nations as a body, when they are non-binding, nobody can hold them. The same way Trump is ongoing with his America First policies to the American allies. You know, so it puts America in precarious safety. America is safe, but relationally with its neighbors, trade, diplomacy, and otherwise, and so we don't overflog and overstride it. So that's where we are. That's where we are. So Trumpism, like I will call it, is fluid now. A little to the left, a little to the right, but it's looking like the Iranian tactics, not on the battlefield, can fetch them some sort of reprieve. If that's victory or not, we cannot tell.
Very well said. A portmanteau word on Trumpism, and we do not know if that would work, because right now the United States is about to go for what do they call it now? There's this election that's usually done before the general elections, and lots of people are saying that it is a deliberate tactics by Donald Trump to possibly remove that or totally delete that because of the war that's going on right now, and because he knows that he is not favored in America. His popularity is dwindling by the day with all of the shenanigans that we see today. But let's see how those would work for the United States, for the world, for West Asia, which is devastating right now. Of course, a little bit of the fragnels is touching on Nigeria, because pump price right now is 950 naira across gas stations, and it's really affecting us and not doing us good here. That might increase inflation for a bit in Nigeria, and Nigerians will suffer for a business we have no business in. So
are
sad.
we getting gas from Iran?
Well, we take out crude and we bring in refined fuel. So, and the little the hummus that you talked about, you know, that little stretch is where some of the refined gas.
So why don't we flood Dangote refinery with our crude?
Exactly, you know. So this
why don't
speaks
we look
to
inward?
This speaks to a leadership deficit at this point. That's all we have.
Administrative poverty.
Administrative poverty. Yes. So that's all we have for today on politics around the world. I love to believe you enjoyed our show in depth to some aspect, and the historical, taking us a bit here and bit there, just to bring us up to speed on what used to be and what it is now. And I love to believe that you enjoyed our show. Thank you so very much, Innocent, for your time.
The pleasure is always mine.
All right, that's about the time. Have yourself a splendid day. My name is Henry Igwebike. Do well to follow us if you may. You can find us at enterprisetvnews.com. You may equally download to rewatch and share to your friends and your folks when you visit us at Enterprise TV7. Have yourself a splendid day, and I'll see you on another episode of Politics Around the World. Gracias. Bye-bye.